Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm actually going to be doing a commentary, except that this is not going to be a gameplay commentary. This is going to be more just a flat-out commentary, just specifically where you guys mostly just listen to my voice. I know that may not be necessarily appealing, but I'll try to make it as entertaining as possible for you guys, so that way you're not sitting here just like, end the video, end the video, end the video, end the video, so that way it's not that boring. But basically, what I'm going to be here to talk about is I want to talk about what, in my opinion, makes a good video game. Not just a story-driven game, not just a multiplayer game, not just a series, but in general, what makes good video games? What are the traits? What are the mechanics? What is the mindset that you need to get into so that way you can enjoy a game as as maximum as you can? And this is what I want to talk about because that would be very interesting, so that way you guys could actually see what I personally think about why I play certain games and also why I may upload certain games. And this is just an easy way that I can also give you guys my input on what I think of the current games that I'm playing so far. And just so you know, I'm primarily going to be talking about Xbox One games. I'm not going to be talking about 360 games. I'm not going to be talking about PC games. I'm not going to be talking about PlayStation or Nintendo games. Just Xbox One for the most part, because that's my main console choice. But let's talk about what makes a good video game. Now, there's a lot of things that I could talk about. I could talk about this for days. I could talk about this for literally days upon days upon days. But my main thing about what I want to get at here is that all these games that you see here, a lot of them I play very regularly, or I play them every now and then some I may not even play at all. But the reason for that is because there's certain things in the video game that make me want to play them now, later, not necessarily as much anymore, like I've already played them before and I just don't want to play them anymore, or just not at all. There's a lot of reasons why I do certain things with the games. So let's talk about what makes it where I want to play a game immediately to where I don't want to play at all, and I'll talk about basically what those traits mean to me in a game, or like why I like those things in a video game. So let's talk about why I play games very frequently. In my opinion, personally, I like these games that have these features. Number one, a good vibe slash good community surrounding it. That's a big one. The second thing is that well done mechanics slash story, because there is a huge difference between the two, but they're also very similar at the same time. Another thing is longevity, which can be in the form of DLC, patches. It can be in the form of, like, let's say, a new map here and there, or a new weapon here and there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a full-out DLC. It can be little updates, and it can even just be patches to make the game fixed. And then probably I would say the last big thing that makes it where I want to actually play a game very often is, I would say, good rewards and good time investment based things you can do. So let's talk about all these, and I'm not necessarily going to do them in any particular order. I'm just going to name, like, just the ones that I think are best, right away. So let's talk about basically why I like these games and why I listed these things. So the number one thing is that, what do I mean by, let's say, a good community surrounding the game? Well, I like to have some form of positivity attached to my games. Now, when you think of some of these games, like, for example, Call of Duty here, you don't think of positivity. You may think of, like, trolling or raging or BS or supply drops and exosuits now. This wouldn't be considered necessarily fun, especially if you look from the outside of the community. However, though, something like, let's say, Fortnite, which blew up really out of nowhere, everyone loves it and nobody thinks of anything negative. Most people decide to look at the positive of a game that's positive and negative of something that's negative. We all, as human beings, want to join the bandwagon, whether we want to or not. It's just habit. It's just something that we want to do. We don't want to necessarily be different. We want to be with everybody else, and we just want to fit in. So that's why whenever a game is declared bad, such as when Infinite Warfare got completely just dislike bombed into, like, absolute crap, everyone just did that because it was the popular thing to do. Specifically that reason. It was not that it was necessarily a bad game at that point anymore. I mean, Infinite Warfare was bad, but was it 3 million dislikes bad? I think that was a little bit overkill. I think that, to be honest, as much as Infinity Ward messed up with Infinite Warfare, I think that game didn't deserve that many dislikes. I really don't think it did. And the fact that it got dislike nuked was just, like, really ridiculous. I mean, Infinity Ward can make a dislike bomb as their next kill streak. Like, seriously, that's how ridiculous the dislikes were. But basically, positivity will affect a game a long, long way. For example, I will name a game that was received in a trending way, not necessarily a positive way. It was just new, and it was kind of like the hip thing or the positive thing or the brand new thing to talk about. But the game for the most part was negative, and I'm pretty sure you guys won't remember this until I tell you. The app Flappy Bird. When in the heck was the last time that you heard anybody mention that game, play that game, especially even like mention it in a sentence, like say the words Flappy Bird? Like, no one does that anymore because the game was negative. It was a rage game, and it was very, very frustrating, and everyone broke their phones over and everything, and everyone was just making laughing stocks out of each other, and it was just popular. It was the thing to do. The game was popular, but it wasn't positive. So that's the huge difference there, is that because positivity, if that's not a game, the game will die, but positivity is in the game, it won't die. Because, for example, I will apply this with Call of Duty again. Take Infinite Warfare, which I don't have it on here because I uninstalled it, but compare that to, like, let's say something like, I don't know, like Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 is the last 360 only Call of Duty game. It is almost 7 years old. It's 6 years old, basically, at this point. It's last-gen graphics, last-gen mechanics, last-gen everything. And the game is actually still played to this day with almost around a few thousand, almost 100,000 sometimes on good days, player base. And this game is stupidly old. But Infinite Warfare, a game that came out not even probably 2 years ago, it's like basically a ghost town. Now, why is that? You obviously know the obvious answer. It's because the game was received in a negative light. Infinite Warfare was dislike bombed all crap. And even though Black Ops 2 was disliked, technically at the very beginning of its launch, because technically you could say that Black Ops 2 was the first Call of Duty to sell less than Modern Warfare 3, which is true. And you can also say it's technically the most disliked Call of Duty game at the time, which it was. But now, if you look back on it, it's actually better in comparison to these other games, so therefore, in hindsight, we actually realized how good we had it, and we just didn't know it. So positivity and negativity go a long way when it comes to video games as a whole. The next thing that I want to talk about is just, in general, frequent updates or like patches or DLC, etc. When a game has no content after its release, it's going to slow down and die really quickly. Everyone, as much as they don't like the idea of DLC, and you see these memes all the time of people taking like a hamburger and naming like each part of the hamburger a different thing, like a DLC 1, DLC 2, yada yada. It's true that we hate DLC to a certain degree and we want free stuff, but it's also kind of like just norm at this point. Nobody's going to want to have a game just release and not be patched. This is where Modern Warfare 2 could be talking about. I don't have it on my console because it's not backwards compatible or anything, but take Modern Warfare 2 for a prime example. That game was broken as absolute hell. That game was beyond broken, beyond repair, basically. If they would have done one little patch, I'm pretty sure you still would have missed something. But the thing is, though, is that game was still fun. That's because it had good DLC, it had, for the most part, a good community surrounding it, and the mechanics were good. When something has good mechanics and good rewards, like the kill streaks, remember everyone going for the nuke, that was just a grind. Everyone wanted to get to the max rank, get their fall camos and everything. Those were good rewards back in the day, and that incentivizes you to kind of look past the negativity. Because sometimes when games have negativity, you can outweigh it with the positivity. That's why whenever I have a game that I'm really happy to talk about, and people point out the negative things, I just significantly point out the positive things while also still taking their ideas into consideration. It's just the way I roll. I look at both sides of the perspective. But the thing is, though, there is an exception. If you have a game and you don't take care of it, it's going to slowly downgrade until it is unplayable. This can be applied to Call of Duty 4, the original one, and then World at War. These games are hacked beyond repair. Activision doesn't fix the games. Treyarch and Infinity Ward aren't going to fix the games. The community has not been able to fix the games. Microsoft has not been able to replace the games or fix them at all. These games are probably never going to be unhacked ever again, which is disappointing because all the companies want to focus on what's new. What is the new game that they can make money off of? And when games get patched and they're fixed and they're taken care of, they work. They are treated like a kid or a baby, and when you do that, the game will thrive and it will do well and it will actually end up performing well. Because when you have a game like, let's say, Modern Warfare 2 with the noob tubes, but at the same time, you also have good kill streaks, good rewards, and stuff like that. They kind of outweigh each other, and that's kind of why Modern Warfare 2 at that point was still more received as positive than negative. And that's just why. The next thing I need to talk about is I just need to talk about good rewards. When was the last time that you were satisfied with a reward in a video game? I can name a couple, but I can't name a lot. And now a lot of games do this where if you want to have decent rewards, you have to get them through a RNG system, which is just unfortunate nowadays because a lot of games are taking after the Call of Duty or a supply drop system, even though that they're not nearly as bad as Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is even fixing their own. But let's say the old Call of Duties, or like let's just say over the last few years or so, the rewards were not able to be obtained / were not worth it. Let's take Black Ops 3 for example. I think this is the best futuristic Call of Duty game by far, right next to Black Ops 2, but it had the worst supply drop system by far. In Black Ops 3, you didn't earn supply drops, you earned keys, and those were a grind in itself. COD points were completely just not worth your money because you basically got nothing worth your time. The cosmetics in that game were not worth it, the emotes were not worth it, and in general, when you add weapons to a game that's supposed to be cosmetic, the cosmetics stuff significantly will lose its value. Why would you rather have a outfit than when you can have a gun? It's just not worth it. It's not worth your money, it's not worth your time, etc. A lot of people will agree with me on this. When Black Ops 3 was cosmetic, when it was, at the time, the cosmetic stuff, in my opinion, was actually worth more because that technically was the best item. And then when you add in the guns, the epic clothes and the epic emotes, or the, rare stuff that originally was the only top tier thing in the game, when they get replaced, they lose their value. And Destiny 2 is a game that I can significantly say lost its value. Destiny 2 lost so much value because the fact is that it didn't have good rewards is a big contributor. Destiny 2 had really bad reward systems, unlike Destiny 1. The only guns that you ever see in the multiplayer is the Mida multi-tool and Uriel's gift, and that is it. You will never see anything else. It is the spam gun. It's like the BAL and ASM one because they are that OP. Those names get remembered because of how OP they are. But the thing is, though, is that when it comes to these other games, they kind of follow the same traits. They kind of follow like this RNG, you have to pay if you want to really get the good stuff type of like mindset, and I don't like that. I wouldn't mind paying a few bucks here and there for something that's worth it. If I have respect for the developers, if I have respect for the companies, and if I like genuinely what they're trying to produce, I wouldn't mind throwing in some money here and there. Like, for example, you guys have seen me. I have spent money on Overwatch. I have spent money on the loot boxes when the events come out. I spent money recently on Dokkaebi and Rainbow because she's a character that you can get. You can pay for that directly. And then Fortnite, I'm also considering maybe getting some clothes every now and then, maybe, because I'm starting to really like Fortnite, as you guys know. Because these games, they're actually, in my opinion, these like few games here that I listed, like Fortnite, Overwatch, and Rainbow, for the most part, they have good RNG systems. Even though they're kind of RNG, they're still kind of worth it, in my opinion. If you at least have a general idea of what you want, and you figure out the best possible way to get it, it's not nearly as frustrating as something that's completely random. Like, for example, when Overwatch has its anniversary, or Lunar New Year, or Halloween update, whatever, whenever those updates come out, it's just that, like, you only have those types of loot boxes. Christmas comes out, there's only Christmas loot boxes, so you're more likely to get Christmas stuff. And when the anniversary update comes out, you have, like, anniversary items, etc. And when you end up doing these things, you have more of a chance than if you wanted to play, like, let's just say Overwatch Wednesday, non-events, type of day or whatever. And that kind of gives you a little bit of a better chance. Rainbow, you can buy what you want directly. Fortnite, you can buy what you want directly. But then some of these other games, Call of Duty, and let's say, Halo even. Halo has, like, rep packs or whatever. And then Battlefield 1 has battle packs. Those are random, and they really don't have a increased rate on certain occasions. Like Overwatch increases their drop rate to be better whenever there's updates, but not like necessarily Call of Duty or whatever. They've been trying to fix it with bribes and stuff like that. And when you have kind of like this combo of stuff with a game, it can either be good, neutral, or bad, which is why I will sometimes play games a lot, play them every now and then, play them not so much anymore, and then not play them at all. So let's talk about some games in those types of categories. For example, games that I play on the regular right now is currently Fortnite and Overwatch. Overwatch specifically for the videos, Fortnite for my free time. That's because these games have generally good communities, They have generally good RNG slash loot system slash things to grind for. And they also have good mechanics that slash are fun to play, and they keep them patched and updated frequently. And there's some games that are not necessarily so much like that anymore. Let me talk about these. So, Black Ops 3, they were adding in, like, let's say, DLC guns, but they weren't necessarily patching the game as much as they were, like when Black Ops 3 first came out. Black Ops 3, I would say, is a game that I like to play every now and then. There's DLC weapons that were coming out right before Call of Duty World War II, the last being the MSMC and the Olympia. And they were doing these about, like, every 2 months for, like, the last 2 years before World War II came out. And even recently, during World War II, they even patched the game to nerf the VMP, buff the ICR, and nerf and buff some of the DLC weapons. So Black Ops 3 occasionally will have a patch slash some new content, which is when I go to play it every now and then, but not so much anymore. Then there's some other games that I play kind of like just for a fun kick, you know, kind of like a blast from the past type of thing. Like, for example, every now and then I'll still hop on Black Ops 2. It's a good game. I will hop on, like, let's say, Destiny 2 to keep what's, updated, just to check what's maybe new and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll hop on Titanfall, and sometimes I'll hop on Rainbow. And then sometimes there's certain games that I don't even play at all, slash I don't play anymore. For example, I never touched Assassin's Creed Origins, nor I didn't even install it either. I didn't install slash play Injustice 2. Those are the only games I've never touched for Xbox One that I bought, which is weird. I normally don't do that. I normally don't like to waste, but I'm pretty sure I'll get around to those eventually. But these games, the reason why I have them kind of like in this category is because the games that I'm playing right now have the good RNG system slash like grinding areas to play, have good stuff that you can try to earn. They have good community surrounding them, stuff like that, like I was talking about. And then slowly as you go down, either those things are not nearly as good, or they're downgraded, or just not supported anymore. And this helps a long way to make a good game. This really, really does. So, will I ever go back to some games? Yes, I will. Will I stop playing some games? Of course I will. When things have things that are brand new, or whatever, or just when a new game comes out, or whether it's good for YouTube, like, that's just kind of like when I want to play it more. Like, I will heavily play a game a lot more, believe it or not, when it's actually really doing well on my YouTube channel. Whenever a new game comes out, period, if I'm having fun with it, I'll try to definitely upload it. And if you guys like it, I'll continue uploading it. That's why I decided to start posting Fortnite alongside Overwatch, because these are the two games you like watching and I like playing. And then some of the games that, like, I don't necessarily play anymore, but I'll play every now and then, like Black Ops 3. I don't mind uploading that every now and then, but just not necessarily on my radar as much anymore. This is just kind of like basically a summary, guys, about what I think about video games and what makes them, worth my time. Because, like, for example, Call of Duty World War II and, let's say, Destiny 2, two games that I'm not playing nearly as much anymore. They're good games, and I can see myself playing them again in the future. Like, for example, I'll eventually get around playing the Destiny 2 DLC, and I'll probably end up playing, with my friends again when they reinstall it, depending on, like, what they decide to add. Then World War II, I don't mind the game. I think it's a good game. It's definitely a lot more bland than I thought, but I still respect the fact that Sledgehammer did put their, heart and soul into this game to try to make it fun. And I'm glad. It's not a boring game by any means. It just needs some brand new content, because the base game as a whole is fun. It just needs some tweaks here and there. And then things like Fortnite and then Overwatch, I probably will eventually get burnt out, but not for a while at least. But this is just an example. I'm just rambling on. I don't want to keep you guys waiting for too long. But anyways, guys, this is going to be today's video. I hope I didn't bore you to death by basically making you guys stare at a loading screen or a games and apps screen. But it's just kind of like the best way that I can really describe what I think, and basically the best way that I can talk about these games that I like, and just stuff like that. But anyways, guys, this is going to be today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy seeing some, I hope you enjoyed seeing my games and apps gameplay. If you liked today's video and you want to see more videos like this in the future, please feel free to leave a thumbs up on the video and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all in my next video. Peace out.